any jazz. If you call it jazz, I'm listening to it, and my threshold for bad music is pretty high. Like I don't like, some people are like, oh, jazz sucks, or like jam bands suck. It's music. Like it's pizza. I'll eat it. I'll listen to it, I'll take it. Whatever.
This week, my guest on the Comedy on 11 podcast is my buddy Peter Murphy. I'm Thom Tran, and this is the show where I talk to my comedian friends about comedy and music. And this week, Peter goes hard on jazz music, why he hates pepperoni pizza, and comics who use intro songs as a crutch. Very enlightening episode. Also, heads up, there's a little bit of a problem with the microphone. Just a wee bit of a technical problem. I think one of my cats unplugged my mic. Yes, I am blaming my cat. So my audio is actually coming out of Peter's mic. It's not inaudible, but it's not great. I'll try to fix it in post, but yes, I know it sounds like garbage, so no need to tell me. I know. My apologies. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please consider subscribing to the channel. We hit 5,000 subscribers, and as of this recording, we are just shy of 10,000. So we're shooting for 50,000 now. Why? Why not? And when we do, I'm sure I'll be giving something cool away. I've already given away that Sterling Axis AX20 guitar that I was telling you I would give away when I hit 5,000, and, well, I did it. And if you're listening to this on your phone, go to youtube.com/TomTranOnline and subscribe for literally the same reason I just mentioned. Stand-up comedy tour dates are on my website, TomTran.com, including a couple very cool shows happening this fall. Now, let's hit it.
So, comedy and music. It's like when Apple TV said, we're making a show about soccer for Americans. We're going to call it Ted Lasso. And people were like, I don't know if this is going to work. And then Ted Lasso comes out, and it's amazing.
It worked.
It was one of those shows, one of those rare shows that was like, nothing about this should work.
Mm.
It's a character that nobody knows,
right,
about a sport that Americans don't care about, based in England.
Yeah. Ooh, interesting.
And somehow it was a smash hit, gigantic smash hit.
Yeah, I think that's a credit to, well, you're talking about a lot of things that work there, right? But I think it's a credit to Bill Lawrence, who is, famous for Scrubs, among other things. Right. And also Brett Goldstein and their fantastic writing staff, which includes the very funny Sasha Garin, who has written a couple episodes and is a great staff writer that's been on a lot of stuff. And yeah, it's so interesting because that is one of those shows that did have pre-existing IP.
Yeah, it was a TV commercial.
Yeah, exactly. And like, if you describe it the way you're describing it, it's like, oh wow, yeah, this will never work. But also Jason Sudeikis is so lovable and likable, and there's just something about the way Bill Lawrence writes comedy. It makes you, it's so like whimsical, and the patterns are so great, and it's like a song in and of itself, which is really nice, and yeah, it's fun, and. Yeah, so it just happened to work. Also, I'm a big Jason Sudeikis fan.
Huge Jason Sudeikis fan. This is Comedy on 11, the show where I talk to my comedian friends about comedy and music. I'm here with my good friend, Peter Murphy. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on here, Tom. We're going to crank up the comedy to 11.
We're going to turn it up to
Crank 11. It up.
How was your show over the weekend?
The show over the weekend went well. I'll tell you this. Not a comedy crowd. There were a lot of people in the room, and you would think that's a good thing, but everybody that was at the show they were not used to a stand-up show, meaning like they hadn't been to like a live performance or seen stand-up comedy in a while or at all. And if you go into material, they'll look at you like, well, you don't mean that, but they wanted to be talked to. So stuff that was working was the crowd work. And yeah, I don't know if that's a dirty word or not.
What do you think that is? Do you think it's this generation of both comedians and people being raised up on comedy in the TikTok, Instagram age don't don't know what comedy is. They don't know how to act in a comedy club.
Yeah, I know. Some nights I don't even know what comedy is. At least that's how it feels. This was a show in support of my podcast, Funniest People You Never Heard of. And
Available on iTunes?
yeah, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. And everybody that came out was supporting the podcast. And so, they're fans of the podcast. They love, true stories and like people's history and, behind the scenes stuff. And I think the only other thing they had seen or maybe some Netflix specials or yes, TikTok. Some people, a woman talked to me after the show. She was like, oh, I had never been heckled before. And she wasn't using the term correctly because she's an audience member and she just thought heckling.
She thought she was being heckled?
Yeah. She thought heckling meant anybody talking to anybody else in the show. So I don't know if there's like a table of contents or like a
bibliography.
Yeah, something to like prepare people, but for live comedy. But it was that's always interesting to see those crowds.
Isn't that what the Voice of God is supposed to be for? Don't talk, 2 drink minimum, all that.
Right? Yeah, I don't think people were paying attention, honestly. And everyone got there on time, which was fascinating. And we started right on
comics or
9:30.
audience?
Both.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Shocking.
What? Yeah.
That is surprising.
Yeah. I don't think anyone was paying attention to the announcements. So I don't know. They're busy ordering on their phones. They're ordering a couple salmons. If you see salmon on the menu, you gotta get it. You gotta get a couple salmons for the table. Start. Couple salmons. Then, if you're focused on salmon, are your ears open? No.
Do you think that having the phones there for, and in this case, order off the menu, that is encouraging people and giving them the idea that, hey, it's okay to have this on?
Yeah, I don't love it. I Paul Mooney had this great quote where he said, and he's one of my favorite comics of all time. He said, if you're feeling, it was in reference to, what was it? It was in reference to being stuck or experiencing writer's block. And he said, if you're feeling stuck, you should go out and get entertained. And I love that because if I'm at a live show, a concert, comedy show, play, musical, anything in between, Shakespeare in the Park, I really want to immerse myself in it and put my phone away, but that's not the experience for everybody. Or, people have kids or got a babysitter, whatever the case is. So I think it definitely takes something away if you're not in the space and you're not present in the space. Like, right. Yeah, that takes something away and that's not fun. But, I was like, I would love if every club would take away the phones, but there's a rhyme and reason for everything, I suppose.
Yeah. Do you think that being present for a comedy show is one of the reasons, it's different from being at a rock show or a music show? Where do you think you have to be present at a music show?
Yeah, that's a good question, because when I'm at a concert, I really enjoy the moments where my mind drifts off, where I really like tap into my subconscious. There's a lot happening in the concert. The band's playing, or maybe a band I didn't come to see necessarily, the opener's playing. And then I'm kind of looking at everyone around me like, you're into this music too? Like, that guy likes the same music as me? That's weird. I'm usually, in and around, something crazy happening or whatever. And I love where my mind wanders. So I'm not at the most present at those moments, but that's why I go is, that's part of like being entertained is like, oh, I tap into my subconscious a bit. And I really embrace that. At a comedy show, yeah, you got to be there. You've got to be as grounded and as present as possible. And not just the performers, but like, hey, there's a comedy show happening. Like, I'm here, I could, we reach out and touch me, So yeah, I think that's absolutely important. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it makes a huge difference because unlike with comedy, if the audience isn't fully engaged, if their mind is wandering, if they're in another place, if they're stoned or drunk or whatever,
right.
A musician, and I say this as a musician, can just keep playing. You can keep chunking along, keep soloing, keep doing whatever you're doing, because the music doesn't require the audience to give you immediate feedback.
Yeah.
It's usually like 3 to 5 to 7 minutes for a song. and then you're either cheering during it or cheering after it. Whereas with a comedy show, like, it's supposed to be a laugh every 7 to 15 seconds. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if you don't get that feedback, and if people's minds are wandering or they're on their phone or whatever, that makes it extremely difficult for us as comedians to do our job.
Yeah. I mean, I think someone would probably say, well, you've got part of the job of a comedian is to turn this group of people into an audience. And some nights that requires a lot of exposition and a lot of work. Some nights it requires zero. This night we're talking about over the weekend required a lot of work because, you know, everybody was, I went up like third, which is, you know, good. You know, everyone's making their orders by then, whatever. But yeah, it just required everyone to get into the same zone. And I know, you know, Jerry Seinfeld is really big on TM, transcendental meditation, but he also believes that you're successful if you and the audience are on the same breathing pattern.
Huh.
And that's like, whew, I mean, that's like expert 10th degree black belt type of stuff.
Right.
How do you get that? I think it's through silence, pacing, and the type of engagement that you see maybe Chris Rock do, where he like walks to this side, sets up a premise, walks to this side, delivers the punchline, sets up a premise in the middle, delivers a punchline, and then he like engages everybody, then has everybody here, you know, in the middle. And, you know, can you do that in 30 minutes? You know, sometimes it might take 20 minutes to do that.
Yeah.
Can you do it in 10 minutes? Whew, I don't know. You know, that's part of the art form. It's kind of tough.
Right.
It's tough.
Do you think that it's the comics' responsibility to wrangle the audience, or do you think it's more on the audience to come and go, this is our part of the equation, this is our job? The comic's job is to come in and tell the jokes. Yes, he or she needs to be engaging. That is part of being a comedian, but to wrangle cats.
Yeah.
Is that really the comic's job?
I'd be curious to hear what you had to say about this, but my thought is every night's a different story. Every night's a different intention. Like an athlete, you know, would require different setup for a game played in snow, a game played in rain, a game, you know, under, you know, certain emotional circumstances. So every night's a different story. If the intention is, hey, I got a big show coming up, I got to get these words out, got to make sure I hit them right, and the crowd isn't there for you in the way that you need them to be, meaning if the crowd is looking for more of a engaging crowd work type of a thing, that is a bummer, right? We didn't match up. But, you know, if you're like, hey, my intention is to just, you know, go out there and be a little more free flowing, free spirited, have fun, and then pick up on what the audience is looking for, you know, then that's different. I just think every night's another story, and, you know, everything's a different intention. Like, you know, there's times where like, I've got to work on this material. It's a really important show coming up, and this crowd is going to serve that crowd in a way that only the stand-up comedy art form really gives room for that. You know, you don't like to say that to that crowd, but like, hey, Wednesday crowd, I'm going to be on the road on Friday, and, you know, you're going to serve that crowd. They're going to thank you in their own way, but I wish you could be there for that. And, you know, it's interesting. I don't know. What do you think? What's your take?
Well, it's funny because I did that big show a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
In place of Jay Leno.
Right.
He asked me to do this thing. And I very much, like, the week leading up to that, every spot I went, I was like, hey, listen, I'm doing a thing. I'm doing these jokes Saturday,
right?
Trying them out on you. You're the guinea pig.
And yeah, what did the crowd think?
They were all for it, but I think it was very much because I put that out on Front Street. I was like, listen, this is a big event. I have it's like, and I've seen we've both seen it. We've seen like comics hosting the Oscars or doing a gig or something, and like a TV gig, the Emmys or whatever, and they've got to try out their jokes. So they come to a comedy club and they try out their jokes there. That's, you know, we've seen that.
Yeah.
But it is different when, you know, I'm going on the road and I'm just trying out new bits. But I feel like every night I'm trying to try out new bits.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the more you get into any art form, you talk more broadly about it with your contemporaries, which is like, I don't know. It's maybe it creates a gap between someone just starting or somebody that's curious about something and like, people who've been doing it for a while. But I got some really broad, good advice, which was like recently, which is like, just start strong, end strong, in the middle, do whatever you want. And I was like, okay, that's great. But broken down, it means, you're really excited about the new stuff, but don't do the new stuff first, or else you're going to pay for it. And it's going to be the longest, 15 minutes of your life.
Do you do new stuff first? Is that typically a thing that you do?
No, not really. Usually it's like, if it's a club set, it's like, hey, this is who I am. Like, you don't know me, but, I'm Peter. I'm from Florida. Get into my background, that sort of thing. And then I'll go to the new stuff quick, or as quick as I have to, based on, the crowd's interaction of it. But I've got, I mean, I like keying into like what the audience is like looking for. Do you go with that setup when you were like, hey, you're the guinea pigs, you went right into like new stuff, or like, hey, this is for a gala?
I was actually just watching the videos because I got to put a thing together.
Yeah.
I very much came out and I was like, listen, I have 9 minutes.
Hey, shut up. Everybody, look at me. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
No, I came out and that was a different situation. I had 9 minutes here, I get 10 minutes there,
right,
to try out 20 minutes of material. And I have to set these people up. They're both sets on like a Friday night. I went up and I was like, hey, listen, I'm doing this thing. Imagine you're in a fancy room downtown with Bill Shatner. And
that's almost that's almost like a fun gimmick to do. Like all the time, be like, hey, all right, I'm preparing for this thing. This would be my new thing. Hey, I'm preparing for this big show. And, where you are, pretend, or like I've heard every crazy corporate gig there is, like, pretend you're at a nudist colony and we're all naked. Don't look over there. Don't look over there. But you're going to love this naked material, and it has nothing to do with what's happening. It's like the most niche, unrelatable stuff. Because what was the event for? Can you say?
It was a fundraiser for the LA police.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's, like, imagine you're a cop for 10 seconds. Put your gun down. You know what I mean? Like one of those things, like no shots inside. That would be a fun thing to watch.
What if the premise you set up was, hey, I'm doing a gig at a nudist colony. Mm-hmm. Here are my nudist jokes.
Here are my nudist
jokes. Don't do any jokes about being nude. You just take your clothes off and do your regular stuff. It's just a nudist set.
God, yeah. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone would have to sign a waiver beforehand. Or like, this is my art, dude. This is part of my art. It's crazy.
I know you're a big sports guy.
Yeah.
Are you a big music person? How important would you say music is in your life?
Ooh, how important is music? It's pretty important. I am a big music guy. It's interesting. I love top 40 stuff. Mm-hmm. Grew up on the radio in my grandma's house, but then also there was a part of me growing up in Florida that really embraced pop punk and like emo and screamo music and the angst that surrounded that. And it really, that indie scene really generated, really generated a lot of interest from me and my friends. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Does your musical influence impact your comedy at all?
Ooh, does my musical influence impact my comedy? Ooh, sure. You know what? For a time, I struggled to make references that people would get, but now I kind of ignore it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, Soco Amaretto Lime, one of my favorite songs. Like nobody knows couldn't even say what band it is or whatever. Like, oh man, Cute Without the E, cut from the team. If I make that reference, like, oh, nobody. Taking Back Sunday is a pretty mainstream band in that scene, but most audiences wouldn't get it. So I kind of stray away from that. And those are like, the most generic, broad references I could make, but it doesn't really influence my comedy. Does it influence my rhythm? Maybe it does without me knowing it. But since I had the realization that the music that I listen to doesn't always resonate with audiences, I kind of stopped referencing music in my sets. But if I do, I'll make it like very generic. Like, if I'm talking about Florida, I'll throw in Jimmy Buffett, right, or Pitbull. Or if I'm talking about something else, I'll throw in like the Beatles or Spice Girls or David Bowie. People know that sort of thing.
Yeah. So if you won't reference a B-side from I don't know, Black Flag.
Right. No. Yeah. Black Flag, or like even like I don't know. Blink-182 is probably the biggest like pop punk band, and even then, I might say. I was talking about Mark Hoppus the other night because he just put this book out. It's a good book. And half the crowd was like, "Oh yeah," and the other half was like, "Huh?" Yeah. So no, it doesn't really, but it doesn't. Yeah, no, it doesn't necessarily like influence me at all. In fact, I kind of have to have the music off if I'm like writing something down important.
Okay.
Because I know people have said like, "Oh, it's music," like you put it on in the background. I dig jazz right now.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm really into like Chet Baker, and all the jazz legends. But in fact, Chet Baker was referenced in Ted Lasso season 3.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, bring it all back around to that. But yeah, I'll love to have some jazz on just for fun.
Do you like your standard jazz, like, or like really obscure, like dark club? Everybody's playing weird chords, kind of.
Man, in any sense, I love it. I love going to like a live jazz show where I don't know who these musicians are. They're session musicians or some legends. I saw Aloe Black in New York when I was there earlier this year, and he was great. He was doing this great fundraiser show, and his band is sick. And they had like some jazzy moments, but they were playing the hits pretty much. But yeah, I'll walk into any jazz club anywhere, and I dig it. I mean, I'm really into Chet Baker right now. He's got an interesting story, interesting mysterious death as well. He like fell out of a hotel room in Amsterdam.
I've been in Amsterdam.
Who knows?
See that happening?
Yeah.
See that happening.
Was he pushed? Did he jump? Who knows? Was he escaping? Who knows? But yeah, big Charlie Parker. Any jazz. If you call it jazz, I'm listening to it. And my threshold for bad music is pretty high. Like I don't like, some people are like, "Oh, jazz sucks," or like jam band sucks, but jam bands suck. It's music. Like it's pizza, I'll eat it. I'll listen to it, I'll take it, whatever.
Pizza gets referenced quite often on this show.
Yeah. Why is that? Why pizza? Just cause it's like, hey, no one's going to turn down a slice of pizza.
Well, Francisco Ramos put it the best.
Yeah.
This is the second time I've quoted him in as many episodes, but comedy is like pizza in a way that you go to a comedy show and you're like, I want pizza, but I don't know what kind of pizza I want. Do I want meat lovers? Do I want veggie? Do I want a combination? Do I want pineapple and bacon? You go to a comedy show and you get the basics. You get the dough, you get the sauce, you get the cheese, and then you get all the toppings. A little of this here, a little of this there.
Yeah.
Whereas with music, if you go to a rock show or a hip hop show, you're like, I want this specific kind of pizza. I only want sausage and extra sauce.
Right.
So I think there's a correlation between pizza and music and pizza and food, or pizza and comedy, I should say, because pizza is food.
Yeah. I get that. That's a good point. And with pizza, I'll say this. I don't think we need pepperoni.
Them's is a strong word.
No more pepperoni on pizza. Pepperoni's been getting away with it for too long.
What kind of pepperoni are you talking about? Are you talking about the small sliced pepperoni or the thick cup kind that crinkles up, and then you get a little pool of oil in there that you got to blot with a napkin.
I knew you were going to reference the. I'm talking regular pepperoni, cupped pepperoni, extra big pepperoni, nipple pepperoni, all pepperoni. They've been getting away with it too much. There are better meats, okay? Prosciutto, capicola, ham, like all better meats than pepperoni. Pepperoni is just like a really thinly cut beef jerky, and pepperoni should be a little frisbee toy, a frisbee snack for a dog. Pepperoni. What else do you put pepperoni on? Nothing.
Because pepperonis was made to be on pizza.
It's lazy, and honestly, it doesn't need it. Okay, it doesn't need it. Like cheese, sauce, good dough. That's enough.
What is your
no pepperoni needed?
What is your go-to pizza topping?
Ooh, go-to pizza topping. I'll go plain because I like to. If I'm going to a place for the first time, plain. Just to see how they do it, base layer, and that's how I rate it. Like my grandma, when she goes to an Italian restaurant, she always gets the lasagna if it's her first time there. She's like, if you can do this really well, I'm going to try other stuff. I'm going to come back, right? Okay. So I'll go cheese, but then if I go back there, I'll try, they usually do, like most places do like a white slice. That's fun. Or, some type of meat lovers situation. Or what's really popular now, or I see more of that I really love, and Prince Street Pizza does it the best, is like a square.
I literally just had some Prince Street,
yeah.
Lunch.
They're great. And like their pepperoni, great, fine. It's part of it, but it's part of it.
I feel some serious anti-pepperoni vibes coming.
Yeah, big pepperoni, come after me. Pepperoni doesn't need to be on pizza. They've been getting away with it for too long. It's not great. It's another excuse to charge $2 extra per slice for something that costs like 10 cents. Do yourself a favor. You don't need it. Get the garlic knots,
fighting words.
Yeah. Or bring a beef jerky stick with you and just gnaw on that afterwards if you're still hungry.
Save a little bit of money there.
Yeah.
How often do you go to music clubs, to jazz clubs or concerts?
At the beginning of the year, I made a big effort to try and see more music. So once or twice a month, once or twice a month. In April, I saw Chiodos, which is one of those like screamo hardcore pop punk bands. I saw them at the Palladium. They were amazing. Then I saw, I forget. I saw some other like local bands. In May, I'm seeing Lucy Dacus, who has like, it's not like pop. She's not like pop punk, but this incredible vocalist who I just discovered this year. I can't believe I never heard of her, but I'm excited to see her. Because she has, like, in my opinion, one of the best albums of the year so far. So maybe once or twice a month. And LA's cool, but sometimes LA's too cool. It's like, everyone tours through here, but sometimes begrudgingly because the crowds aren't as great as, or maybe appreciative as they might be in other locations,
Oh, I completely understand.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you get that. Yeah.
I mean, we are flush with things to do constantly. And we are spoiled as a city and as an area for activities, indoor, outdoor, musical, comedy, whatever. Like, you will never not find a thing to do.
Yeah.
And we are so spoiled by that. I understand how bands can come through this town and go, I don't really want to play LA.
You know who I would love to see that I've never seen live? Goo Goo Dolls.
All right.
And I know they're Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
You're a Buffalo guy?
Robbie is a friend of mine.
What, really? So I feel like that band is like LA. I feel like
Robbie's got a studio here.
And they love LA?
Well, I mean, they're bi-coastal.
That just feels like one of those bands that's like, LA sucks. We have to play LA again.
Johnny lives in Buffalo, I'm pretty sure.
Sure.
He lives in Buffalo. I know Robbie's got a studio there and here.
Okay.
So,
but they're cool. Okay, they're cool with LA. All right. They just seem like, LA, like, we got to do LA. They just seem like one of those bands, but I would love to see them. Never seen them. And yeah, man, everything. Dizzy Up the Girl, all this stuff. All the fun
Superstar
stuff.
Car Wash.
Oh, Oh, what is that a band? Is that
One of their albums.
it really? Oh, well, okay. Missed that one.
Yeah, one of the first.
I'll listen to that on the way home.
I mean, I knew of them in their pre-Black Balloon punk rock
Really?
playing in Buffalo. I
Gotta go back there.
Their first drummer's cousin in high school.
What? Really?
Jen, I think her name was. I don't know.
You tell me.
Something. It was high school. I was 15.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but they were, they're the kings of Buffalo rock.
Were they doing like Battle of the Band stuff?
I'm sure they were.
So I went down to, do the Sabres like embrace them? Do the Bills embrace them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I went down to see hockey game. I went down to the pond to see the Mighty Ducks play the Caps as Ovechkin was going for the record, and it was on 3/11 day. So 311 was there, the band. It was pretty sick. I went with two really funny comics, Channing Apodaca and CJ Price. And in the merch store of the Ducks, they have, oh God, who is it? Oh, they have like an official band. It's not 311. It's they have an official band, the official band of the Mighty Ducks. Oh gosh, why can't I think of them? It's like oh gosh, who sings "Pretty Fly for a White Guy"?
Oh, The Offspring.
I think it's The Offspring. Yes, they are the official band of the Mighty Ducks, and I'm like, and they had like band merch there, and I thought, oh my gosh, every team needs like an official band. I feel like the Sabres need to like hop on on Goo Goo Dolls, just some Goo Goo Doll Sabre merch. That'd be tight.
Yeah, it looks like the Offspring signed a deal with the Ducks in 2024 to celebrate Honda Center and the Anaheim Ducks, commemorating 3 decades of existence and the Offspring's 30th anniversary of their album Smash.
What? Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
I think they're SoCal guys, right?
They are. Yeah, they're from that area. That's why they picked them. That's kind of crazy.
Nice. What's your current walk-on song? Do you have one?
Current walk-on song? I don't have one, but if I want to get cute, I'll do Alkaline Trio, My Friend Peter. I'll do Born in the USA. I'll do Rum is for Drinking, Not Burning by Senses Fail. And those are all just like up, fun,
right,
energetic songs. But if it's easier for the tech person to have a song, then I'll go with it. If it's easier for them to not have me request a song, I'll go with it. I had a tech person at one club recently go, do you have a song in mind? I'm like, oh, well, not really, but do you have a suggestion? And she goes, I got the perfect song for you. I'm going to play. And she literally goes, I'm going to play, that song goes, the 21st night of September.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Yeah. This is this month. It's April, April, May. And she's like, this would be the perfect song for you. It's like, what? There's one day of the year that's the perfect song. What? Who cares?
One time that's acceptable.
And she played that part. It wasn't like some like lyric that said my name or something like that. Yeah.
But you never let the sound person.
Yeah, true.
Don't trust them.
Since you brought this up, the one of the biggest pet peeves of mine amongst comedians are comics that start their set by complaining about their walk-on song. That is, and I'm headbutting Big Pepperoni. I'm also going head first against any comic that walks on stage. The first thing they say is a reference to their walk-on song. That is the most deeply cowardly thing you could do as a comedian. That is pathetic and cowardly. And if you have a problem with it, it's on site. You see me, I want you to come up to me and tell me why you think that's okay. That is the most cowardly, weak thing you could ever do. Trust yourself, be a better performer. If you're gonna say, oh, this song is too white, this song isn't white enough, this song doesn't match my vibe, go back to clown school. It's over. It's over.
This feels personal.
I feel not about a particular person, but just like, hey, listen, if one of the greats, Steve Martin. He said the first thing you say on stage is very important. If you're going to dunk on somebody like that, or, deflect the attention away from yourself, you are a coward, and I have less respect for you.
Wow.
I don't care who's doing it. I feel so strongly about this. And if anything, it's pro tech person, because I don't want them to be thrown under the bus.
Okay.
And light me on fire, because I don't see myself changing positions on this, and it absolutely bums me out when I see someone do that. Like it's so weak and so cowardly, and 9 times out of 10 that person is better than that.
That's an intense position to take. I can understand it if I can understand feeling that way if the comic intentionally goes, hey, play this one really crappy song, and then I'm going to make a joke about it.
That's what they're going to do. And even that is weak.
But what if they genuinely hey, play whatever, and then the sound person plays, I don't know, what was that old Brian Regan joke? He said, play whatever, and then the guy picks More Than a Woman by the Bee Gees. So Regan comes up to More Than a Woman.
Okay, fair. That's fair. But if you're planning some kind of riff, or planning some type of off the cuff thing, dude, you're spending energy in the wrong place. But okay, yes, if that happens, whatever. There's always the exception. Right. But also, I'm gonna group you in there too. Just go take 10 seconds to be like, all right, well that song was cute, right? All right, great. So anyhow, I'm Peter, whatever. And then move on with what you were here to do.
Wow, Peter Murphy, so young, so angry.
Yes, exactly. Both.
So would it be fair to say it doesn't matter to you what your walk-on song is?
Do not care. Do not care. If it's something crazy and slow, and if it's crazy and slow, or the outro of a song, all right, hey, hey, how's it going, everybody? I don't care. I'm listening to the music,
okay,
but I don't care. It's as big a deal as you make it.
Okay.
And that is the point of this art form of stand-up, which is to turn a group of people into an audience, and then be entertaining enough to have their attention, and be good. Let's not focus on the walk-up music.
Okay.
That was either picked by you in a moment of cowardice, or picked by the sound person who is 9 times out of 10, even I would say 19 times out of 20, trying to do their best, and either could not be bothered to pick out something cute for you or appropriate, or they think they're trying to do their best job, and whatever. You know what? Neil Brennan, I know, has on the road, he goes up to Eminem most nights, and that's because the sound guy's trying to be cute. I don't think he's making a big deal about it.
Okay.
Necessarily. It's a cute, quirky, interesting bit of trivia, but other than that, if you're going up there and you're telling the tech person, play this song so I can dunk on you,
right,
get away from me.
Okay. Wow. So I think it's safe to say you don't feel like music plays a big part of the presentation of the show.
Oh,
or do you?
Not unless it's intentional. In a regular comedy show. Oh yeah, it's interesting.
And I ask this because there are rooms in LA where they have a sound person who brings you up to a song, and it pumps you up, or it pumps up the audience, or it doesn't, depending on the situation and the comic and the audience. And then there are clubs that just bring you up dry.
I like a vibe. So really good vibe is the original room of the Comedy Store, where they have a keyboard pianist up there. Everyone gets in a piano intro. You might recognize the song, you might not recognize the song, but ultimately it's irrelevant. And I don't really always love, hey, big high energy song or big high energy host. That's not always appropriate. It's not, I don't know. It's not, the laughs are important, but like people screaming, hey, let's get the energy up for your next comedian, and we're gonna play Hot for Teacher in its entirety. Let's go.
I feel like that was a slam against me.
No, do you go up to Hot for Teacher? Do you?
I don't not go up to Hot.
Dude, I love Hot for Teacher. Nothing wrong with that.
That drum intro that's not a drum intro.
Yes, exactly. Which is like a couple minutes long. I was just referencing that because it's like a very long intro and necessary. It is. I love it. It's great. But to curate the vibe, I don't know. So someone's working too hard on the wrong thing necessarily.
Okay.
Is kind of like what I think. Let's get to it. I'm not so curmudgeonly that I don't think, there's room for fun, cute, moments. But if you want to match the song up to the person appropriately, great. Joe Rogan go up to AC/DC, awesome. Whatever your vibe is. But yeah, I think it depends on the venue and the space. And so, there's no hard, fast rule in my mind.
Okay.
Necessarily.
Okay. How do you think comedy and music are similar or different? Or are they?
I think the most obvious thing to me for similarities is like rhythm, and that's just me giving more credit to drummers. The rhythm
Spoken like a true drummer.
rhythm in a song, obviously important, stay in time. But the rhythm on stage is good too. You're just talking about a laugh every 7 to 15 seconds. That's important. Also, creating a rhythm, breaking the rhythm, and whether you're being inconsistent on stage or being dynamic on stage is a very thin line, which I enjoy. If I'm telling a story, I kind of like to slow it down a little bit and, embrace that. I think, like you were talking about before, the way that musicians will take into account the audience almost not at all. Just like, these people are talking or these people are whatever, screaming, anything. I think the comedian has to be a little more in tune with the crowd, but rhythm is important, and you and the audience determine that rhythm to where, the band has practiced this rhythm and, people come to expect it.
All right. Have you ever opened for a band?
Oh, I have. This band in Florida called Wratham Stone. Pretty sick name, honestly, now that I think about it. And that was just like the one that pops in my mind because I did the most with them. And they're cool, laid back shoegaze, chill pop kind of band. Music featured on MTV, that sort of thing. But other than that, I would host shows at the House of Blues and the Hard Rock Cafe in Orlando.
Oh, wow.
Where I would bring on bands and do some comedy and some hosting in between. Tough because sometimes it's really hard to create a rhythm or engage a crowd who didn't come to see you or doesn't really care about you. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. Let's forget about this other guy here.
It goes back to the pizza thing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I came here for pepperoni pizza. Why are you giving me a salad?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I have, and it's fun. You have as well, bands. Yeah.
I've opened for
Goo Goo Dolls.
No, I haven't opened for the.
Come on,
We were actually
guys.
playing in the same city one night. I think it was in Arizona. Actually, yeah, it was in Arizona, where I'm going to be this weekend opening, headlining. Actually, I'm going to be headlining. Doesn't matter because this is coming out after.
Okay, great.
No, yeah,
Arizona was great.
Arizona,
Yeah.
was fantastic. You kicked ass, Glenn.
It's a dry humor.
I hate you for that. I hate you for that.
Use it. Use that.
But yeah, I'm sure a billion other comics haven't gone into Phoenix or Glendale.
I'm sure.
That joke. No, yeah, I think I was doing a gig in Arizona years ago, and they were playing like, I think they were playing in an arena or something down the street. And
yeah.
I text Robbie. I was like, "Hey, I'm down the street. You guys want to come to the show?" They're like, "No, we're working."
No, we're partying over here, man. Damn, I bet they.
What would Describe your musical taste in one word.
Emotional.
Okay.
I wanted to say eclectic, but I imagine everybody says eclectic or imagines themselves to be eclectic. But emotional is it. Like, with so many songs just at our fingertips. Like, there's a song for every mood, and the music either on the way to the show curates my mood, amplifies my mood, or douses it a little bit.
Okay. Do you use music to get amped up or to bring you down? Like, do you intentionally do that, or? Yeah,
both. I'm like, I need this. I need some Hot for Teacher right now. I need to drum on my steering wheel for 10 minutes straight. I know you're a big Van Halen fan. I'm not taking the piss there. I love them. But yeah,
what makes you say I'm a big fan of Van Halen?
I know, right? Yeah. Okay. And how could you not be? Who's having more fun than them, even today? And
because he's no longer.
Sure, right. Maybe he's having more fun than anybody.
Yeah, he's up there with Hendrix and okay.
Oof.
Les Paul.
Yeah, 3. Oh yeah, what a band that is.
It's a hell of a jam session.
I use music, to either as gasoline on the fire or to douse the fire.
Okay. Do you use music as a pick-me-up after you've had a bad set?
No.
No?
No, not a pick-me-up after a bad set. After a bad set, it's any type of food. Like, the best comic advice you could give someone is, I forget where I heard this, but the worse the set, the better the dinner you treat yourself to.
Oh, wow. I haven't heard that.
But yeah, music doesn't play.
Oh my God. I'm going to be going to this buffet over at Universal Studios, Universal City.
I'll go out of my way if it's that bad. Exactly. No, I don't really turn to music post bad set or bad evening.
Here's a question that I say this every episode. I attribute this quote to Dave Grohl.
Nice.
I have not taken the time to find out if Dave Grohl said it.
Okay, great.
I think Dave said, all rock stars want to be comedians. All comedians want to be rock stars. Do you think it's true? And have you witnessed any funny musicians?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's... Yeah, I think it's true. I do think it's true, but I think it's true for different reasons for different people. Some comedians would love to go up there, play the hits every night. Mm-hmm. Or be able to do a cover album, mm-hmm. or something a little more experimental that they might be able to hide behind their idea of what music is. So yeah, I think that's true. Or it's like, hey, different environment, more fun, right? Have I ever met any musicians that are funny, or do I think any musicians are funny,
or seen them on stage being funny?
Musicians that are funny. I mean, Father John Misty really thinks he's funny. He really thinks, he's funny in the I'm going to read a McSweeney's article type of funny, or looking down your nose type of, and whatever, he's not like the Decemberists where he's, writing, out of a thesaurus, right. And using every word he can find. He's certainly humorous in his songs. Some musicians that are funny. I think Katy Perry's funny.
Yeah.
And also a Warped Tour legend, apparently. She used to be the last person at the party, and could handle her alcohol better than anybody, apparently. And just an absolute ledge. I don't know. You got to look at John Mayer's work with Dave Chappelle and say, is John Mayer funny? Worth asking the question. Worth asking the question.
So politically.
Oh, I think he is funny. I think he is funny.
Politically diplomatic.
I absolutely think he is funny. But if you are so John Mayer's one of those guys. People will people will be like, "Oh, John Mayer," and then roll their eyes immediately. Whatever, let the guy live. Is he funny? Yeah. If you don't like him, I think you should open the door and be like, "Hey, is this guy funny? Let me look at this through a different lens." And I do think he's funny, and also like super talented.
Good, excellent. We're gonna wrap up shortly. Thank you so much for coming over.
Yeah, brother, absolutely.
Finish with a couple of final.
Ooh.
First,
The final questions. The final questions.
well, now I have to use that for every.
You should, yeah. It's the final questions.
That's more editing that I have to do. But thank you, Peter.
Oh, you're welcome.
Now
Yeah,
I gotta
yeah.
pull that from your episode and drop it into everybody's episode.
Oh, good.
What was your first comedy show? And what was your first music concert?
Whoa, first music concert. It was in I'd seen like local bands at like VFWs and churches and stuff in my hometown of Cape Coral, Florida. But first show was in Orlando, and the bands were The Academy Is, Acceptance, Hello Goodbye, and there was definitely a fourth band, but I forget. So all like pop punk, emo, and that, if you've ever listened to Hello Goodbye, it's very cheerful. It's like breakup. It's like breakup pop meets like chill. Oh, hello. Yes.
For the viewers, this is my other cat because Colby decided she wanted in on the action.
This cat has joined the chat. But so it was like very cheerful, poppy, upbeat. But I went with my friend Leanne and my friend Chris, and they were like, yeah, this Orlando crowd, they get pretty rowdy. And so there was a mosh pit, and my buddy Chris got pulled into the mosh pit, fell, and was about to get like stomped on. I go into the pit, grab him, and then like kind of like help, pull him out. I have my right leg is stuck in the pit, and somebody stepped on my jeans, and I had these like really cheap American Eagle jeans, and they like ripped up the seam on the side, ripped all the way up to like my thigh. And that was my first show. And I was like, damn. And we were like 3.5 hours away from home. So I had to just like wear these gigantic like open pants. First live comedy show. I honestly don't remember. I wish I knew.
Okay.
I don't remember. There were not any.
Nothing stuck out to you?
No, I mean, I learned about comedy like on TV, but not a lot of people went to Cape Coral, Florida. They kind of missed that stop. Yeah, I really don't know. I really do not know.
Okay. You get 2 albums, one comedy, one music, for the rest of your life. What are they?
2 albums, comedy. Yeah, Eddie Murphy Raw.
Nice.
Eddie Murphy Raw. A couple reasons. One, that special is great. It's him doing real life jokes and also jokes that are highlighting his celebrity at the time, which he filmed over at the Felt Forum in New York City, part of Madison Square Garden, 87. That came out December 87, the weekend that I was born. That was the #1 movie in the world. Wow. Weekend I was born. I have a poster of it in my bedroom. Great. I mean, just movie. It's like 90 minutes too. Robert Townsend directed it. Hollywood Shuffle, I think Blank Man or Meteor Man. I forget. Just, I love it. I love it so much. And still referenced to this day. Shaggy, It Wasn't Me. That comes from Eddie Murphy. Jay-Z has some lyrics from that Eddie Murphy special. And yeah, hands down, my favorite. Favorite album, one album. Man, because music's so emotional. That's how I answered your question. What's like it? I gotta think of something that's like emotional to me. That's like no skips. All-time album. You know what?
You can pick a greatest hits.
No, Oh, thank you. That shows you have a big heart. You're very kind. You don't want to put people on the spot, and also you're trying to wrap it up here. Since we referenced my boy earlier, John Mayer Continuum.
Really?
Oh yeah, zero skips on that album.
Really? Okay.
Open your eyes, open your heart, open your sense of humor to John Mayer. Do it.
This has been a very enlightening episode. I've known you for a long time. I consider you a dear friend. You watch my cats.
Yeah.
And this is what I've learned about you.
You're welcome.
You hate comics who use music as a crutch when they go on stage.
Yes.
And you love John Mayer. And I can respect that.
Oh, yeah. I saw him with the Dead last summer. Awesome show. Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome
I
show.
think Brad Williams just saw them in Vegas at the Sphere.
Worth going to. Absolutely. If you do one thing after this, drive to Vegas and see the Dead, man. Yeah. And yeah, nothing wrong with John Mayer, bro.
Awesome. Hey, buddy, thank you so much for coming over.
Dude, Tom, thank you.
Awesome. I think you're a fantastic comedian. Where can people find you? Tell them about the podcast.
Yeah, so look for my podcast. It's called Funniest People You've Never Heard Of, and we got to have Thom on there this season. It's on all streaming platforms and YouTube. And then, yeah, look for me on Instagram. It's Peter_Murphy. And keep an eye out for my comedy special dropping later this year. It's called Out of Nowhere Live in Hollywood. That's me giving that information away for the first time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
Yeah, the title is breaking news for sure. The streaming platform, I will let them do that promotion.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for watching. As always, this is Comedy on 11, the show where I talk to my comedian friends about comedy and music. You can find us on all the socials at Comedy on 11 Pod. I'm at _Thom Tran, THOMTRAN. Every Tuesday, new episode. Every Thursday, a best of or a list show. It's kind of up in the air because I am on the road a lot. Thanks for listening, and remember to turn the laughs up to 11.